Hi, welcome to Urban Insights. I'm Jayashree Kuru. I have with me Mr. Vijay Gupta. He's the founder, chairman, and CEO of SoftTech Engineers Limited, a company that is servicing the construction industry for the last 29, 30 years in across the board, from planning to probably building management. And I would like to talk to Mr. Vijay Gupta. He's an IIT Mumbai alumnus. He has been a in the construction industry for a long time. And thank you so much for joining us, sir.
My pleasure, Jayasree. It's really a pleasure to interact with you on this industry. Yes.
Thank you so much. So, first of all, why did you focus on technologies for the construction sector? The construction sector is such a vast segment. And why did you choose this and how did you enter it?
Let me tell you something about myself before I say that why I choose this sector. I'm myself a structural engineer with an additional degree in computer science from IIT Mumbai. And this fascination actually is starting from the education itself, so where we started doing research on how buildings can be designed onto the computer, and my thesis of mtech was also on industrial buildings. From there the passion to use the computers was started. And that time, unfortunately, we did not have a luxury of too much of I would say technology available at our will to use it very effectively. So we had to create even a basic level of computer algorithms to make use of computers in our industry. And I found there is a big challenge in terms of designing, in terms of analysis, in terms of integrating design to respective codes which are used in the country, and also then using this design for creating the drawings which could be useful and very simple to understand in the construction phase. And that fascinated me in terms of leveraging technology, which was actually what I did as a formal education to apply for the industry. And that's how the journey started.
So, when did you start soft engineering? And if you look at your journey, what are the biggest landmark successes that you would say you have achieved?
So I started SoftTech in 1996. This is about 3 decades now, 27 plus years of journey, and started this with a vision of creating a product in structural analysis, design, and drafting of multi-story buildings. The product Sturs was conceived with the idea of why not we have an integrated solution which can offer very easy solutions for our structural designers. And Sturs was conceived, and it was very widely used by the structural engineers in engineering community here. We were competing with a product called STAD, which was actually my mentor product also. It was a very vastly used product brought from US research engineers in corporation USA California. But there were challenges in terms of making use of this product for Indian industry. And that's how I conceived SoftTech, founded SoftTech with a vision of creating products in this space. So Struts launching was the first milestone, which was very useful. I would say we launched this product in 1996, and we had a very deep penetration of this product in India. We had more than about 4,000 plus structural engineers in India. We went to Middle East, Asia Pacific countries, and really had a very deep penetration of this product. After this, we kept on adding multiple products. So, I mean, the journey is big because we were using Struts for multiple municipal corporations, government organizations, and in fact, there was a pain there in terms of how can we leverage CAD as a technology for building permits. And that's where we conceived an idea of creating a product which can eliminate the challenge of uh, permitting solution, which is actually very vast, complex nature, building codes, complex nature of building bylaws, and how we can really bring a technology which can eliminate human intervention in terms of interpreting the building codes. And the first very big milestone was launching our product called AutoDCR, which was a path breaking technology, and from where we could read the CAD drawings automatically, map them to the building control regulations, and tell the deviations. We launched this product in Pune Municipal Corporation as the first corporation of the country in 2006, and we have never looked back after installing and making it work in Pune Municipal Corporation. Now it is in use at more than about 800 cities in India, small, big, or very big size municipal corporations and cities. And I could say this was something which is a very, very big milestone for SoftTech as a journey.
So when you work in a municipal corporation, in a government setup, it's such a complex network of departments, people, processes, parastatal organizations, and so on, right? And all that comes into play. How does your product uh, integrate all that? And are there conflicting rules and regulations? If so, how do you iron those out?
Well, actually, it is really I would say, very complex nature in terms of building codes, building bylaws, and like building bylaws is not the only one thing. Building bylaws are associated multiple departments which are actually required to work on along with building permission departments. For example, we need to work with water supply department, we need to work with the drainage department, we need to work with fire departments for the regulations to be followed over there. And municipal departments basically are, first of all, actually there is a lot of complex processes to be followed. The training of the different building code amendments also is not, sometimes we felt, not sufficiently available to all the building inspectors. So there was a big challenge in terms of building bylaws are interpreted by different officials in a different way, and that starts creating a complexity in terms of different interpretations for different certificates issued by the same corporations for the same situation of a building, and that creates a legal compliances requirements also sometime. So bringing in the technology, of course, had a lot of challenge in terms of, first of all, bringing all of these officials onto the same page as far as interpretation of building codes is concerned. And that's where we work very aggressively in terms of the entire official sets, and came out with a common set of interpretation of the codes, because see, this line by itself is a very complex in nature, and the codes have to be interpreted. It has to come onto the common platform. That's the one challenge which we found very significantly. Second thing is, like, when we are trying to adapt new technology, and if they are not equipped with the usage of the technology well, I think the adoption becomes a big challenge. So that's where we had to have a lot of trainings to be followed, training programs to be given to the building officials internally, and also to the external stakeholders like architects and the consultants who are engaged with the submission of plans and all. And that is something which was a Herculean task in the beginning, when we were working at the city level, corporations level, municipalities level. So adoption is where we focused on. We focused on technology to be used at the ground level. We did not focus on just giving a technology which, whether used or not, is not important for us. We should be used at the grassroots level. It should bring the values which we are targeting to, and that's where is our focus on. So that those were the challenges. And third challenge, of course, is basically, like in this area, there are a lot of the level of transparency also was limited. So bringing in that kind of a transparency was very important, and that is where we worked a lot in terms of bringing in the transparency in the entire system. The fourth one, which is very important, is, as I said, there are different departments which works in the building permissions. So NOCs are required to be given by the different departments before a construction permit can be granted. And for that, we had to bring in the data sets from the departments. We'd have to bring in the departments to be aware of why the permits are being issued, whether, like for example, if we give a building permit in one specific community or one specific area of a city, we need to ensure that the water supply is sufficient enough after the building is constructed, and the people residing in the building are given advantage of at least water, drainage, and also have safety provisions in terms of fire safeties within the building. They all have to be taken up as a NOC from the department. Then, of course, like say this building permission is associated to the associated infrastructure of the city. The road network should be available for the people who is going to be residing into the buildings, and for that, whether this is sufficient road network available in the city. So these all are the challenges which we actually worked with. We try to bring all the departments together. We try to bring uh, sharing the data of building permission to the other departments so that they can actually plan out the city development well. And that's what we have been what continuously engaged with the cities into this kind of developments. Yeah.
Uh, Today, you've consolidated all your various technologies under the Civit Suite. So, how does that help? And take us through that entire suite of products that you have today. You launched it in 2022, I believe, right?
Yes, well, so let me briefly tell you about what were the independent products we were working on and what was the necessity for Civit to be launched. So, as I said, you first is we have a building permit system, which is entirely managing the city's permitting system, including the CAD or BIM based permitting plan checking plan. Then we have a product called Civit, the PWIMS, Public Works Information Management System, and that product is actually addressing the entire of procurement life cycle of infrastructure works. We work with departments like PWDs, departments like industrial development corporations. We work with departments like irrigation departments for managing their infrastructure works, right from conception of the work till the delivery and beyond, like assets management of these infrastructures. So which is what we call as public works information management system. And we have a ERP system for contractors and construction enterprises, and this is where again construction life cycle management is managed through. This is the entire construction life cycle. Now, all of these products are either serving the governments. The governments include state level governments, government includes local level governments, and government includes even central level like Airport Authority of India or NHAI or NHLML kind of organizations, CPWD kind of organizations. And then private contractors include the construction enterprises, the infrastructure development companies, the contractors, and so and so. And then comes the consultants who are actually advising either the governments or the private contracting companies for designing, for planning, designing, and all. So we were working with these independent products and very successfully penetrated throughout the ecosystem of what we call as architectural engineering and construction domain. The necessity came where all of this data, for example, when I'm working with organizations like, say, Maharashtra Industrial Development Corporation, I'm working with about 4,000 contractors and about maybe around 1,000 plus architects who are actually submitting their plans within MIDC for the approval purpose and are engaged with MIDC for the construction management and contract management. So we have offered our solution Auto DCR for permitting. We have offered our solution PWIMS for infrastructure management. And to some of the contractors, we have offered our solution Opticon as a ERP system. But they were not able to talk to each other. The data from building permit system was not being used by our PWIMS product, which was actually for infrastructure management and all, and also the contractors were not able to access it. So that's where we realized, why not we create a platform with a common data environment where all of this data created at different levels can be exchanged through the entire construction ecosystem, and these organizations can get benefited very significantly. And that's how Civit was conceived. And Civit as a common data environment is now connecting our same products named as Civit Plan, Civit Permit for planning and approvals, and Civit Infra for infrastructure management, Civit Build for contractors where they can do the construction planning, construction designing, and construction execution. They can manage their resources very well. They can get connected to the bids being published in our Civit infra at the government level. So the same seamless data is available. And then we are coming with Civit Operate, which is actually assess management and sustainability and energy management for the same infrastructures which are built and managed through our application Civit Build, Civit Infra. So that's where the idea of Civit is plan, build, operate is something where we want to work on Civit as a common data environment.
Okay. So when you talk about, we'll talk about Civit Operate. That's the newest part of it. We'll talk about that a little more. But before that, tell me that when building codes, infrastructure norms, even permits, these are dynamic processes. Even the way planning is done, and these are dynamic processes. They write various codes, various uh, various bases. How do you how can you constantly update that on your system? Is that an automatic process, or is there a team working on the back end, so that if a municipality says, like for instance, rainfall has increased because of climate change, environmental norms have changed because of a global SDG network, so how do you incorporate all this into your Civit Suite?
So, well, there is a rule engine at the back of our system, which is actually a technology, I would say, where we try to map the amendments continuously. As on date, we have actually been working on bringing in amendments into our system, and then these amendments are mapped to our rule engine so that the technology can adapt it. So there is a technology wherein we can configure the new rules imposed by amendments into the rules. Okay, and that's where it's very easy to adapt it continuously. But now with the help of GPT kind of technology and Chat GPT coming in, and the I would say the AI, the LLM model is what we are building in, where basically intelligently we will be able to identify the changes into the amendments intelligently, and those amendments can automatically be updated into our what we call as rule base, which is managed by the application, and onto the rule base our design objects are mapped to find out the relevant variants. So I think going forward, it will become automatic. At this point of time, we use it through our rule engine as a technology. So even our end users can actually configure it whenever it is changed. But of course, we have a very strong security provision there, the authority checking, so that who can actually modify the rules, etc., is taken care of.
Okay, okay. And is your suite agnostic of platforms? Because there are so many elements that are being pulled in. Whatever platform they used, will it be all compatible with each other?
Yeah, so we have in fact worked on multiple technologies where we try to take the drawings in the format like DWG is the format which is very widely used. Any CAD platform can use it. IFC is something where we are working on interoperability very significantly. So our BIM based permitting system will be entirely onto IFC with the BIM smart standards. So we follow the standards. Now whether it is a beam authoring tool like Revit or it is an Archicad or it could be anything else, as long as it is allowing us to write a IFC file in the format required, our applications will be able to read that and will apply the rules accordingly. So this is agnostics to kind of authoring tools. And in the CAD also, we have open standards now being followed, where we can have open design alliance integrations, where, of course, the protocols are to be followed. You need to follow the protocols in which the drawing should be formed in the way it is required. Otherwise, you can have any tools now, and as long as it is writing a DWG file or as long as it is standards to open design alliance, it's fine.
So let's come to Civit Operate. Operate is your newest kid off the block, right? Now, how does Operate function, and what are the advantages of Operate? Whom does it help the most?
Okay, so operate is conceived with an idea of like entire world right now is looking at climate change, and we have to work towards our objective of saving our environment, our earth, from the kind of challenge which we have in terms of climate warmings. Like say carbon footprints are to be reduced significantly, and we have to work on that, and that can only be done by way of managing the energy consumptions. So energy consumption basically is something which is very very significant in building industry. We know about 40% of the energy is consumed by our vertical, what we call as building segment, in fact, in both passive and active ways. Now one of the active ways, the during the construction we need to look into how we can save the energy. During the design we need to say look into how we can use material which can effectively save our energy in some significant way. So and also the reusability concepts are something we need to work on. So that's where there is a lot of challenge in terms of energy management in the building construction sector, in the building environment. And that's how the idea of Civit Operate comes in. What we do in Civit Operate is we first of all, of course, like say, since we already have designing, we already have products which are working for construction planning, construction executions. Uh, During the kind of estimation of a project itself, cost estimation, we are trying to add up an element which can tell you as to, besides cost, what is going to be carbon footprint of a building. If you use different set of materials, what could be carbon footprints? And that's where we are working on at the planning and designing level as far as buildings are concerned. But after the building is constructed, there is a lot of consumption of energy because of use of the energy, and that's where the operational level energy consumptions are. And operational level energy consumption majorly is because of like devices, like we are using cooling system, we are using heater systems. If it is a cold environment like in Europe and US and all, we need to work with a lot of energy consumed in heating environments. And then, of course, HVAC is the line. So, what we are doing is like, can we really bring efficiency into operations of a building by way of automating the tracking of these kind of assets like chillers, the coolers, or kind of heaters, boilers if it is an industry. All of these, we want to connect them through the technology which is available now and which is called IoT as a technology you must have seen. And then, of course, like IoT with the SCADA data, the control systems can send us the data sets. We bring all of these data sets, which is big in size, and then interpret this data, curate this data, bring it to the level where we can actually compute the energy consumption of different assets being used in the building, and can we really make them efficient? Can we actually bring efficiency in terms of operations of that? Like, say, for example, sometime there could be chillers of three chillers where effectively only two can work on. Can we put them off efficiently? Or if it, so that kind of a efficiency level and operational level efficiency in terms of building is something which we want to target onto Civit Operate. So Civit Operate works with the challenge of sustainability requirements and the operational requirements. The operations and sustainability both works south and north to each other. You know, like operations need more energy, and sustainability wants that less and less energy should be used. We need to bring a balance, and that balance can very effectively be used by way of creating an algorithm which can give you the basic efficiency into the operations of a building. And that is what is the objective behind Save It Operate.
How how ready is the industry for this kind of assessment and management?
You see, actually, I would say the industry has to be, no, industry doesn't have any option but to be ready for this now, because we don't have a luxury of having too many years to keep using energy ineffectively. So, but yes, if you're putting a question as to whether the industry is going to adopt this or whether they can adapt it today, yes, it is not fully prepared. But the need of this is being seen very clearly. It is seen from multiple levels. It is being seen from environmentalists. It is seen from even uh, the government policies wise. And but unfortunately, right now there are no compliances which are to be followed regulatory wise. These are only the guidelines being offered by the governments, but I'm sure slowly it will come as a compliance requirement as well. We are working with energy conservation building codes. We are working with green building initiatives. And currently, the governments are actually giving only the incentives if you are really complying to those green building codes. But the future is not too far, I would say, when this becomes a regulation, this becomes a compulsory requirements. So I think industry right now, if I answer your question very precisely, right now they are gearing up to be ready. And I think technology will also have to gear up to really see that it works when the industry is ready.
Right. So you've more or less created the technology which can become ready, or you're creating the technology. Now it is a question of uh, spreading the awareness in the industry, right?
Absolutely. And awareness is, yeah, absolutely. Look, so we need to really work with the industry to say that this is actually what is needed. We need to even work with the consumers level where the consumers should start asking from the real estate developers for that matter, that this is what we are looking at. We are looking at energy efficiency as a whole, and we are looking at these as the basic requirements, beside, of course, the amenities which we keep looking into as a building household. And also, like the government policies level, like you must have heard about climate financing, where the government is working very actively in terms of funding companies. If you can reduce your carbon footprints into the building, and you can prove that this is actually uh, going down. So for those kind of initiatives and incentives which are being offered by the banking institutes or from the government institutes, I think industry will start adapting that very effectively. The housing industry will also start adapting that very effectively, and that's where the need of technology will keep growing, growing, and growing, because this cannot be done without use of technology. The data is huge, like say, if you have to manage a city's data for energy consumption tracking system, or for that matter like water distribution pattern systems, or energy distribution pattern system, gas distribution pattern systems, it is not possible or impractical to manage it without technology. And technology is available. We have big data analytics tools available. We have AI ML to really interpret the data and give an significant insights, predictive analysis, prescriptive analysis. Now, actually, it is not just what is going to happen, but it is also, if it happens, you can do this to save it. That's kind of analysis is also very, very important, and that's where the technology is there. We have AI ML, we have IoT, we have sensor based technologies, we have very significant blockchain to ensure safety of the data, and all of this actually are going to help us in terms of bringing in our earth saved from this climate challenge.
Absolutely. So you talked about consumers, that consumers should be asking for it. From the Civit permit onwards, where where the aberrations in different policies are being ironed out, the permits are being given faster. Uh, what are the benefits for the consumer in every step of your Civit suite? Consumers, if they understand what they're getting, they will demand it. But today, we are addressing the municipalities, we are addressing the industry, but the consumer doesn't understand that there is so much happening at the back end, whether it is in the operate field or in the permit field. What are the benefits, tangible benefits for consumers?
So, in fact, as a matter of fact, everything, even the if you look at the charter of a city or if a charter of a municipality, the charter goes into the benefits to the citizen and benefits to the end users. So these are all meant for consumers, but as you said rightly, perhaps it is not known to them. See, when we are talking about a building permission, building codes, the building codes are written for what? Like they're written for the safety of the people who are going to be in the building. They are written for a perfect livelihood of the people. You should have better air environment. You should have better water systems. You should have better living conditions. You should not remain into environment not habitable or not something which is actually good for your health, or uh, all of these are actually what is covered into building bylaws. And so basically the municipalities, when they're working on the building bylaws, the basic principle is the end user should get benefited. The cities should be in a habitable situation. Cities should have a greenery requirement fulfilled. We should see that unwanted trees are not cut, and that is one thing which is there in the building codes. Actually, we ensure that if you are clearing any area, are you replanting the number of trees required for the building to grow, right? Actually, that's all is, I think, consumers are getting benefited, and even like consumers get benefited from their day-to-day life in terms of healthy conditions of living. And I think this building permit system by itself is a heart for any citizen, whether is living in a residential building or is working for a commercial in the commercial environment, or is actually an industrial building which is producing something for the growth of the city. Whatever it is, the buildings are being controlled through the regulations, and they are getting benefited if the regulations are fulfilled to the spirit of the regulations. And that's where actually I feel all of these regulations are for the benefit of consumers only, and they should be spreaded. They should come forward. They should know that the building should be following this, and that's where the transparency of a Civit permit kind of solution, where we have a citizen interface. Whenever they are going to buy a building, they can look into what are the regulations which are followed in the building, and what are the approvals given for that building. And in some of the cities these are definitely available. If you want to buy any building, you can go to the portal of a city and then check the building's approval conditions then and there itself.
And similarly, when you have the operate system, a person residing in a building will be able to monitor what the quality of maintenance of that building is and how sustainable it is, because sustainability is something that consumers are very, very bothered about today.
So yeah, if you look at futuristic scenario, yes, it would be, because this kind of system, whether it is Civit operate or any other such system, they have to be connected to BMS system, building management system, where there is entire of uh, LE buildings distribution network is connected, and from where we are extracting the data. So basically, uh, if you look at any energy consumptions, you can click on the building, you can understand whether basically the building is consuming how much energy, subjected to, of course, the data being available. So there are like even at Civit operate level, what we are targeting is we want to map the entire city as a available plan of the city, and you click on any building which is seen in the city, and you should be able to compute the energy consumption of that building, subjected to you give the information. So you suppose are a building owner, and you know your building's assets being used in the building. Besides building designs, you can key in your parameters with the help of physics applied into Civit operate. We can tell that how much is the consumption of that building going to be, and that's where we are trying to bring it into Civit operate. And that kind of a technology would be available. We will be making it available, and there are even today that the technology is available as such. It's not something which is not available, but it is at a very significant cost. Like say Siemens provides the technology, the Snyder gave some technology, but they are very expensive at this point of time. So we need to work on technology, affordable technology which gives values in proportion to what is expected out of it, and that's where we are trying to bring in significant values. And I think it would be possible for sustainability requirements from Civit operate to compute the goals, the UNDP goals also very effectively.
So there you are. What was in the realm of futuristic, maybe Hollywood thought processes have been brought into daily life. A consumer can log on and see whether that building has all the approvals, whether that building matches all the required regulations, and whether that building actually matches their expectation of sustainability, good management, and And I suppose it's a process that has evolved over the last 25 odd years, and today we are at a stage where it only needs a little more policy push, where from recommendations it becomes mandatory and statutory requirements. Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta, for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Found this video useful? Please subscribe to this channel for more such videos. Do like and share with as many people as you can.